Washington football. Woo! Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Burgundy Zone. I am your host, Kyle, and I am joined by my co-host, Michael Hall. The Burgundy Zone is part of the Frederick Podcast Network. You can find out more at www.listenfrederick.com. But we are joined by returning guest, one of my favorite guests to bring on to this podcast, the Mr. Big Time himself, Mr. Rick Doc Walker. How are you doing on this beautiful Monday, sir?
I'm good, man. No precipitation, no ice. I'm okay.
I like to hear that. And the first thing I wanted to ask you, you got one of those Letterman jackets. We had Kendrick Golston on last week. He loved it. So how was the rollout of the Washington Commanders and driving around in that Tesla around the DMV for the day?
It was interesting. It was a day of mixed emotions because, as I mentioned, I put out on Twitter, it was like being at a funeral and then going to see the birth of a newborn. So you go from the mortuary to the maternity ward. And so you got to deal with that. And the people that how we were received, we went to, Dexter and I went down to high school in the district. We went to Metro Stop. We went to WJLA in Crystal City. And just interfacing with the people, who of which are split at the time. Emotionally, it was the hardest day was the first day. Then on that Friday, a couple of days later, we were at the fan fair, like a
parking party.
I guess tailgating, party. Very well done. Vendors, food. It could have been colder. It was cold and windy and wet.
Yep.
That was the most impressive thing I saw.
Me too.
Was the number of people that were there in that atmosphere, and they didn't care. They were committed. Those that are starting to, like when WFT came out, first time I heard Washington football team, I go, you gotta be kidding me. Then it would have been fine with me had they left it that way. I was fine with it. Our record is too bad to be worried about what somebody's calling you, because what they're calling you is loser. So it don't really matter what your name is. Till you start kicking somebody's ass every week, then they'll call you sir. And they'll say please and thank you. So we got to get into the football side of that. This is the fluff that I don't get involved in. This is all the things that the organization thrives off of, but you don't win with it. And so after 20-some years of seeing this, I prefer my next thrill will be when they make a move on upgrading the roster, draft, OTAs, mini camp, summer. Hopefully this camp won't be a walkthrough shell camp. It'll be a scrimmage against the Ravens or the Steelers, who are what I prefer, or the Titans. I want the nastiest group you can get your hands on to come so we can go full contact. We got to tackle better. And you don't tackle better with shells on and walkthroughs. You got to get out there and get physical. So that's what I'm hoping for. And, we got a long time to go. Super Bowl. Just saw the flag football game on Sunday. And, that was cool. I just wish they take the pads off and really put flags on.
Yep.
And just go all flag. I mean, all of us have all played flag. It's touch. It's the backyard. I think they could get away with it because their skills competition is so much fun that now – I mean, I like the hockey deal as well, but really NHL and NFL, man, it's crazy. Now, the three-point contest in NBA, the dunk is weak now because the dunkers don't participate. And so, but it's still must see. You got to see it. And so, but they got to get that thing they showed. It's not football.
No, it's not.
Don't embarrass yourself. Just go shorts and even you can wear a helmet. I'd wear a helmet and flag. And just let them go that way because we're just trying to get beyond that so we can get to the skills competition. I mean, so those guys, what Russell Wilson did with that football was eye-opening.
What a segue that is.
eye-opening. And he hit damn near every target. The rest of them couldn't hit a target. So it pretty impressive what Russ did.
Yeah, 100% agree with everything you said. And that kind of definitely leads me into my first question for you, which is Kevin Sheehan came out, I think it was this morning, saying that he talked to a couple sources or heard from a couple sources out in Vegas that Russell Wilson wouldn't turn down coming here if presented the offer. I just wanted to get what you thought about that. I know you just talked about Russell Wilson and what he did in the skills competition. Sounds like you're really fond of Russell Wilson. What would your thoughts on him coming to DC?
Well, I don't buy anything. This is the time of propaganda. Everybody's group throws out what sucker's going to jump on whatever they can get you to jump on. First of all, here's what you know about business. The people who do the best job at it don't say anything. We're loose lips. We don't do it well. You know, whatever anybody, and I respect the hell out of Kevin, whatever anybody says, that's what they wanted you to say. They want you to hear that. There's no numbers thrown out. Only an idiot would say he wasn't interested in somebody's offer without knowing what the offer was. So, you know, like I say, hear nothing, say nothing, whatever. I could care less. I do know this. They put together the right numbers. They can get Aaron Rodgers interested. It's all about money. People have never come here for the most part because they wanted to be here. They come here for money.
Yep.
Okay? We're no different than, you know, hooker on the corner. That's who we are. So people, if they come here, you got to be paying or they're not even going to consider you. Why would you? You're next to last place. Nobody comes to your games. I mean, come on, let's be real. Ain't nobody rumored about somebody saying that they're interested in coming here. That's all bull crap.
My man. And speaking of, I'm not going to say bull crap, but what was your opinion? What was your reaction to DC Mayor Muriel Bowser saying that they want the Washington Commanders to have their new stadium in DC, and there's only one site for it, Mr. Walker, and that is at RFK. What was your reaction?
Like I said, everybody now has to throw their name in. Everybody makes a comment because why wouldn't she?
You're right.
I mean, everybody. So Larry's going to say it. She's going to say it. Listen, we become a fan base and ambulance chasers. Anybody says something, you're so desperate. You run after everything. I personally don't care. They could play at Audi Field. That they could pack. You know, it wouldn't matter. If we play good, we can win at Audi Field. Yeah. Don't matter. What matters is how they play. Don't matter where they play at. How do you play? If you play well enough, go to Audi Field, pack that thing, and try to get in the playoffs.
Yeah, 100% agree. So I think Ron said earlier in the season, or maybe in his off-season presser at the end of the season, that he believes that if they can get the quarterback in here, that the roster is built up, they have enough talent that they're ready to win now. So my question would be, do you think that they're going to go after their vet quarterback to kind of put in here in the play so they can be in win now mode? Or do you think that they're going to maybe take the Bengals route of things and draft a quarterback and kind of build it up to a sustained winner in the down the road?
I have no idea what they're going to do. I don't think the way they think. We don't think alike. I can only go by their history. So here's what I know, and I agree with him. I like the roster. When people hear me say that, they look at me sideways. I really like the players. If they could actually get them to do their jobs, I think they could control their destiny. So, you know, that's on them. They have to figure this thing out. It's not that complicated, you know. And so the Bengals just went 2 games to the Super Bowl. 2 years ago, they won 2 games. Everybody talk about what they didn't have. What you need is the right 53 guys on your roster and the practice squad guys and guys that are ready to come play football, not be in the medical tub all year, not always be injured. We need some guys that show up and play on Sundays. If we can get enough of those guys in there, I think they'll be fine because I think they have enough talent. They have to upgrade at quarterback. And they have to upgrade at linebacker. Those to me are glaring. And I need another receiver. I need a dog. Because for whatever reason, they don't play Sims. I'm tired of even begging for that. So whatever the deal is, whoever he pissed off over there, whatever. But I need somebody opposite of the 17 that's going to raise some hell. Because if I can go into 3 receiver sets, which they do a lot of with the right three guys, we can kill people in the slot. Because everybody that runs inside, nobody can cover them. Just got to get the ball. Our problem ain't people getting open. Our problem is inconsistency in ball placement. So if we could get somebody in there throwing BBs, could be a whole new ball game. We'd be a lot harder to cover and then ground and pound. Getting McKissick back to me is huge. I like 24. Got to quit fumbling. I don't play with fumblers. 32. Again, he's in the witness protection program. What do we got to do to get him in the game so he can play? And I want a pure running back. I want a kid that played running back from Pee Wee, Pop Warner, high school, college, and pros. I've had enough of conversions. I need a dog, that can go in there and set blocks up and do it. If they do that, I think they're fine. I think they have enough players right now. Love the way the offensive line is coached. Love the way tight end position, running back position. Clearly, the staff is on point because we're seeing it. They're not that far away. But it's very difficult to do this when you tie your hands behind your back and you eliminate the forward pass. Can't do it.
One of the quotes that always sticks with me, Rick, is when you were on here last season, we had you on before a game, and you talked about it starts up front. It's in the trenches. You have to win in the trenches in order to inflict your will upon the opposing team to show them we are going to do what we want to do. Basing my question off of that, would you, let's just say you were GM. Let's put our little GM hats on, Rick. I know you hate doing this, but
you're not going to do it. Man. And here's why I don't do it.
I know it.
They're not paying me to do this. They're paying Marty, Herney to go out there and do that, and they're paying Martin Mayhew, and they're very capable. They got to figure it out. I don't do fantasy deal like that because
I got you.
We aren't the same people. We have a different philosophy. I respect what they're trying to do, but I need you to get it done because I judge you by your record. It's nothing personal for me.
And that being
Scoreboard,
said,
we don't win enough on.
That being said, would you bring back Brandon Sheriff?
I would not. No, he wouldn't have been on my team last year. I love Brandon. Nice guy. He can make his money if they offer you the highest contract in the league at guard and you give him the finger, then it's time for us to go. We can be friends, but I ain't begging nobody when I got three guys on my own team. Who are you kidding? No, I don't. I mean, look, get what you can get. That's the object of this. But I've never seen a case clear when somebody proved that they really don't want to be here. And if you're only going to play 8 or 9 games a year, I don't want you to be here either under those circumstances. If he could play 16, I love Big Nasty. But at the rate of performance based on the demands and pay, next.
Yeah, totally agree. I definitely think he's going to be probably out the door. Like you said, I was surprised they brought him back for $18 million last year. And then
even our better players, we let them go and we don't get anything back.
Yep.
Right.
I mean, so Trent Williams, you look at Grim quarterback. That's what I'm saying. I don't get it. That's not my department. You know what I mean? I'm enthusiastic. I just got to wait on game day. That's all I can do is hope.
Right. And speaking of game day, they got the big game coming up on Sunday, the Super Bowl, the Rams versus the Bengals. What's your outlook on this game coming up on Sunday?
Not really. I just hope it goes down to the wire as a guy who just loves thrill and anticipation and drama. I love it to go late. Probably won't. And I love what the Bengals are doing because we have to follow their path. So I look at them, I relate to them like us. I got to say, well, okay, they just proved it. How'd they do it? You have to have an A-plus receiver. Well, we have one of those. Then you got to have an A-plus quarterback. We got to get one of those. Well, our line's better than their line.
No.
So if we got Logan, it's a big if. Logan and McKissick and our boys healthy, I like our group better than their group. But the two factors, they're 2 5s or 10s rather, are unstoppable, quarterback, receiver. They are killing, and their tight end, he may be Nick. He's also, so we kind of even on that because our tight end, their tight end, I think they're both very productive guys who can get open and hard to cover. The backside receiver, that we could come into question who's better there. And then defensively, all these heralded people we have from all these great schools and all these high draft picks, they play like it. I don't know where they're from, but I do know this. They got after 15 from Kansas City. They had him running around, spinning around, going backwards. He blew a circuit. At Kansas City, they played him twice. They wasn't scared of him at all. So that's what I want. That's not just one guy. That's an attitude. Those guys are hungry. They got tired of being humiliated, talked about like we're talked about, and they did something about it other than whine.
My man. And now to wrap this up, Mr. Walker, I only have a couple more questions for you.
Okay.
But my first one being, let's just say for hindsight, 2020, we can look back at the season and everything, but Sammis Reyes, obviously this was his first year playing at tight end. What did you see him progress? And do you think that he is poised to have a breakout year next year? Do you think that he did take a step this year?
It was a baby step because he didn't get to play.
Right.
He might be good on teams. A guy with his body and speed, he may need another good year of being a factor on teams and then getting a little bit more run. He's definitely worth the look. He's enormous. He's athletic. To not have played, but we got guys who played forever and they're terrible. So I think that's a little overrated. The question is he being well coached? Yes, he is. He's in a perfect situation dealing with the two guys he comes in contact with all day long. They're great teachers. So he'll put in the work, and then we'll see. But so did Bates. What he's up against now is that the position is highly competitive.
Yep.
It's like whoever can stay healthy is going to play a lot of football. And but none of them touch 82 if 82 is healthy.
Yep.
But coming back off the injury, he's got his opportunity, and Bates took advantage of it.
Yes, he did.
I like 83 too. I think 83, but he faded on me. He popped out, he got me excited, then he faded. So he got to have the off season of a lifetime because he's maybe the best combination out of all of them. So that's what I like about that room. Our rooms now are highly competitive. O-line room. One thing that Ron said that from day one I'm hanging with, that's position flex. Now I see it. 77 can go in. 71's coming back off injury. We can just mix and match with that offensive line. Leno, we can go left side, right side. The Chicago Bears, you can see why they're stuck on stupid. They gave us damn near 2 starters.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, they couldn't do it. They couldn't block me. And we got 2 guys that can start in this league and play good football. It's not just us. It's all over the league.
Yep.
Half of the league is completely brain dead. Seriously. They're like walking around like the night of the living dead. They have no idea what's going on, and they never will. And they just fill out the deal. In the top 15, some badass professionals.
Yes, sir.
I'm telling you what, the top, this is so competitive. The Tennessee Titans, what they did, look at 2 number 1 seeds got ousted. You know what that means? That's great for the league.
Mm-hmm.
When you take your number 1 seeds getting kicked on their behinds and getting thrown out, man, this league now, I don't know if I've been more excited about the top 15.
Yep. Because
it's different, can't predict it, and it's an arms race now. Everybody's racing. The Ravens are racing. The Steelers, you think they're going to stay stuck on stupid? Not long.
Mm-mm.
And them 8-8, they're embarrassed. See, that's the standard. The bar for Pittsburgh is that high. 8-8, and they're humiliated.
Man.
We're lucky to get to 8-8. And so that's my point. You got to flip this deal. Raise the bar, man. What do you think they're going to win? Hell, they should be bullwhipped if they don't win 10 or 11 games because they have that kind of talent. Now, they got to stay intact. You got to have your best players healthy. They got to actually play in the games. Terry McLaurin is just what a godsend.
Yes.
Here's a guy, plays hurt, performs at a really high level. And then we'll find out freshman year to sophomore year, like Brown, a couple of our kids from Kentucky, kid from Carolina. You flashed. Time to be professionals and flash from day one. Jamin, that's not his fault. Hell, he's always been outside linebacker. These brain surgeons decided they'd have him do something he's never done, then don't let him play in preseason games. That's a real, real novel idea. So how was he supposed to get it, by osmosis? So all I'm saying is that bring me a pro team to Richmond or wherever they're going to be, scrimmage in camp. Let's get after it. And I'm expecting really good things because our division is Dallas is feasting on it. They can't beat anybody outside of the division, but they got a pretty good lock on this. And it's time. And don't sleep on the Birds. Everybody's running. Don't sleep on the Eagles.
Don't sleep on
because in the end, we didn't beat them like we should have. So I think our division, New York, you can't be worse. So it's going to really be competitive, getting after it. And, of course, we have these awful Septembers. Not just Ron. Everybody's ever been here. September's like, my God, it's pathetic. So we have got to go 500 or better to get this puppy going. And if you can't do that with a new name, a new attitude and the whole deal, then we're all in trouble because I do think there's going to be a renewed enthusiasm. I think that and a lot of it has to do coming really, if we're allowed to come out of the pandemic full speed and actually can do this thing at a robust level, being last in attendance is unheard of.
Yep.
And I'm not mad at the people. They're speaking out loud. And I think this can be fixed. And the name and the excitement by then, there'll be less haters. There'll be more people on board. They make a few adjustments. Yeah, the patch. I mean, come on. But isn't it typical what we do?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just I'm surprised when people are surprised.
Yeah. I got you, Doc.
It's so but I will say this. Whenever you get that many new people on a project, it's never going to happen overnight. The question is, can we retain people? Are people going to put their oars in the water and start rowing, or are they going to scat tail out and run from it because they're overwhelmed by it? Maybe it's too big for them. I don't know. But I do know this. I think it's going to be Ron's healthiest year physically. No setbacks. I mean, we kind of slept on this. The guy beat cancer.
Yeah, that's something that's not talked about. Yeah.
And I could tell his energy level. I've seen him before when he's robust and going. You could hear him in the postgame. That's Ron Rivera, the guy that is making the screws come out of the wood in the locker room. That guy's got to be healthy, man. He's got to be healthy. And that's going to add a pinch. And who knows? Maybe we can get vaccinated this year. We were last when the training camp started last year. That already tells you got no shot because you're not mentally there. That's just like missing OTAs, mini camp, last in vaccination. Can't win with you.
My man.
You got to get your behind on board to know what we got going on. The man, his immune system was shot, and you basically told me you didn't give a shit. And that's bothered me. I took that personal. This supposed you be your guy. We'd have never done that to Joe Gibbs. Ain't nowhere in the world. Nowhere in the world. I just stayed home. If I didn't agree with it, I just would have stayed home.
My man.
No way I'd have took that to coach. So that's what they showed me they were. So they got to get over that, number one. They got to get the hand in the pile and be all in because they're not all in. See, I've seen this. I don't know how they do it, but I've seen this before. So if they get all in and get their pettiness out and decide that they want to wear these colors for life, then we got something. Because, buddy, they got some skills. They got talent. They have some talent.
Yes,
hopefully they can put it together.
You're absolutely right, and that's one thing that we are all hoping for. Doc, I can't thank you enough for coming on here and joining us and being able to talk some ball with us and giving us your insight as always, sir. Make sure you guys go and check out the Doc Walker podcast. You can find it on all of your podcast platforms. Doc, I can't thank you enough, sir. I hope you have a great night.
Yeah, no, we're on Patreon. We're not on all the formats.
Just Patreon. I'm sorry.
No. That's right. You couldn't get into Playboy Mansion unless you had a card key. Remember that, okay? You didn't care how rich you were. You got to have a key. So you got to be on patreon.com/Doc Walker and holler at your boy. Appreciate you guys, man. Keep doing a great job.
Thank you, Doc. I love you, brother. You have a good night, sir. Be safe.
You too.
Yes, sir. Have
a
great week, buddy.
You got it.
All right, everybody. We just spoke with the man, Mr. Rick Doc Walker. I mean, that was
Hey.
so awesome.
When I say fire and passion, literally Doc Walker's face got to be next to those two words because that's all he brings. That's all he says. That's all he's about.
Right. And so before we get into our next guest, real quick, we had some questions from last week that I did not get into. I forgot about them. So I wanted to ask you this question. This is from the Commanders Call on Twitter. He just saw a story about this where it suggested that Tennessee could make a move for Aaron Rodgers, but would need another team to make a trade for Tannehill and take on his current salary. We would be one of those few teams that could actually do it, and we could probably get him for a very small price because of his contract. Would you be down to have Ryan Tannehill?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind Ryan Tannehill. It'd actually be kind of funny that it'd come full circle because back in 2012, Mike Shanahan wanted to take Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah.
And everyone knows the story. He was forced to move up, trade for RG3. The rest is history. So, I mean, look, you see that Ryan Tannehill in his second act came into the Tennessee Titans, took over from Mariota, and pretty much had a resurgence of his career. Yes, obviously, the last game that everyone saw of Ryan Tannehill was probably the worst one that he's had in the past year and a half, 2 seasons, I could probably honestly say. But with that being said, I feel like he's put enough deposits in the positive football, positive quarterback play side of things. Obviously, having Derrick Henry helps as well. But I definitely think that with a stout running game, a stout defense, Terry on the outside, kind of like A.J. Brown to him, and another guy to go opposite at Terry, I definitely think that Ryan Tannehill will be a great quarterback to thrive here for however long we have him. Maybe it's a couple years, and then we draft a rookie as well. Who knows? But Ryan Tannehill's an upgrade from Heineke, and as long as they're trying to upgrade the position, I'm almost okay with whoever they bring in.
I'm
not
not
going to be totally on board.
Yeah, I wouldn't be in love with it. I put Tannehill in the same comp as Jimmy Garoppolo. Not somebody that really elevates your football team, but is able to make things go. And I don't think that we have that sort of offense here to the point where we just need a manager in here. So I would not be for Tannehill, but in the same breath, it's beggars can't be choosers, right? It's not like we have somebody here that you're sitting here saying, yeah, of course they're better than Tannehill. So I can't sit here and say no, but it just doesn't excite me. Would I be okay with it? Of course, but it doesn't excite me. It doesn't bring me to the point where, oh, that elevates this squad to another level. I think it just continues where we're at with just a little bit extra on there. Now, our next question is from our big fan, T-Mac on Twitter. Thank you so much, T-Mac. I know I forgot this one, but he also left us a review on iTunes, which was awesome. Really, thank you, brother. You're the best.
Appreciate
he
that.
asks, do you think it's better to go free agency at middle linebacker? He sees a few names that are free agents on good defenses.
That's a good question. I would probably say yes to that, but I would put a caveat with it because if they can get the quarterback that they want, this all in the in free agency this offseason, make a trade, whatever they do, whatever the big splash that they're trying to make a move for, then I would not be opposed to maybe going wide receiver, best player available, maybe middle linebacker or somehow, which probably won't be, but if somehow Dean is still there on the board at number 11, you got to run the card up there, especially over there have your quarterback. But if they're going to not go after the big splash or not land that big splash in the offseason of quarterback, then I would probably definitely go the middle linebacker free agency route. That way you can kind of fill the defensive needs through free agency and then draft the younger guys to build up the offense.
Yeah, and I know that there's a bunch of linebackers in this draft. It's specifically speaking of middle linebacker, you got Devin Lloyd at Utah, who's very versatile. You can use he's all over the field. He is electrifying. I love his film. I would love for Washington to be able to get Devin Lloyd, but if they don't take him with the number 11, I don't think that he's going to be there in the second round or anything. And then obviously T-Mac, the big question is whether they're going to do it quarterback. Because if they're trading for Russell Wilson or one of these vets, most likely they're not going to have their first rounder, and it wouldn't make a lot of sense for them to go and try to fill that middle linebacker role through free agency. And Leighton Vander Esch from the Cowboys, obviously one. The reason why he's so intriguing is because of how young he is, but obviously he does have the injury history. But if you're looking for somebody that's versatile, can play multiple linebacker spots, but can also be that middle linebacker that can make the calls pre-snap, it's Leighton Vander Esch, in my opinion, and he'd be very, very cheap. I'm not sure Dallas is going to be willing to walk away from him, to be honest. They love their linebackers, and they've missed on a lot of them. So they're going. Most likely they're going to be bringing him back. But I would much rather lean the draft where the younger guys are, because the free agents obviously have question marks about them. But that's just me. I'm not sure about you with Leighton Vander Esch, but that's just how I feel about the entire situation. But let's move on to another fan question before we are joined by our next guest, Mr. Ken Johannesen. And this is from Scott Hartley in the UK. What are your thoughts on Russell Wilson being What are your thoughts on Russell Wilson being apparently open to being a Commander? It's on Twitter rumors, but do you think that there's genuine interest from both parties?
I was actually thinking about this question earlier because I figured somebody was going to ask it. I would go. It's probably 50% that he would be open to it because, like Doc Walker said, why would you turn down anybody that's interested in you? Because, well, that's pretty much money. You know, why would you turn down money? But I would also say 50% of it is, I think, whatever these sources are, whether it's people close to Russell Wilson, whether it's people within the league, like kind of just speculating. I definitely think that if it's Russell Wilson's side of the camp or something that Russell Wilson wants to put out there, I think it would be for other teams to kind of for the Seahawks to force their hand even more because they know more teams are interested in him, but also to kind of drive that price up to be like, oh, another team's entered into the Russell Wilson sweepstakes. Let me up the ante a little bit more to kind of drive out Washington or something like that. So I would go 50-50 on maybe he's interested because we do have a couple pieces here that would be great for him to thrive as a quarterback. But I also think, like I said, I definitely think that as part of it is him trying to up the ante on his price for other teams out there trying to make a move for him.
It's propaganda season. I mean, Doc Walker just nailed that right on the face of it. I do think there is Twitter rumors, but I do believe that there's genuine interest from both parties. Look at it from Russell Wilson's standpoint. Seattle was almost rebuilding. You know, they are past their peak. And then he wants to go to a situation where he's wanted, where he could be put in a position to succeed, and a place where he could go back home. And obviously he's from Richmond. It would make a lot of sense. So I do believe that there is genuine interest between both parties, but it all comes down, Scott, it all comes down to the fact of how much it's going to cost, because there are positive and negatives to each of these scenarios. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I feel about it. There is something there. It's just, do I think that they're biting at the bit to get Russell here? I'm not sure. All I know is that John Allen and his wife were most likely out in Vegas or Hawaii, wherever the heck the Pro Bowl was, and they were selling DC to Russell Wilson like you cannot imagine. I don't think there's any confusion about where that tidbit came from with Sheehan this morning on 980 saying that Russell Wilson would not be against going to Washington. I'm sure John Allen's camp is letting him know. But we are now joined by our returning guest, our guy, I love my DM partner, Mr. Ken Johannesen of Riggo's Rag. Ken, thank you so much for joining us again, sir. How are you doing?
Doing good. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We can hear you. We can hear you. Now, Ken,
that's good.
The Senior Bowl happened this weekend. We got to do a recap of that. But to kind of mingle that in and to combine them together, you did a mock draft last week for Riggo's Rag, your first of the offseason, and you had a big splash move happening for Washington in the first round. So what was going on there?
Well, first of all, it would be good to have another star receiver opposite Terry McLaurin. If we have that, it just opens up the field to really what would be a powerful offense at that point. It's hard to believe that just one player could do that. But, you know, I chose Jameson Williams of Alabama as that guy. But there's 2 or 3 other receivers in the first round I think that's worthy of that pick. So I like that. And then later in the first round, you saw that I made a trade, taking a pair of second rounders from obviously this year and next year, moving up to the latter part of the first round, taking Malik Willis. Now, what I'll say to that is that I think his stock is raised quite a bit because of his performance in the Senior Bowl. But for now, that's what I had as a mock. I will probably have another one next week, and I'm sure there'll be some changes.
Yeah, absolutely. And then one of our fan questions, guys, I want to do a roundtable discussion here, but Ken, I want to go to you first. This is from our guy, DC Football Commanders, Huffman Dave. Thank you so much, sir. I can't thank you enough. He says, I know a lot of fans don't like the idea of a bridge quarterback, but I don't want to give up what it's going to cost to get a guy like Russell Wilson. He wants a bridge and draft a quarterback. Who are the best options? He says he's a fan of Trubisky because he wouldn't cost picks or tons of cap. Who would you say, Ken?
Why don't we ask a difficult question here? I'm really not a fan of going after Garoppolo, Trubisky, or any of these guys. Derek Carr in a trade, okay, I could see that. But I really don't want to give up too much to get those big name players either. I think the reason being they're going to strap the cap. You have some great cap room now to continue building this roster. And I think you're very close to being a team that's consistently in the playoffs.
Yep.
So at this point, I'm more inclined to, if you have to maneuver a little bit in the first round this year to get your guy, sure. If that player doesn't work out, try it again next year and the following year until you get your guy. That may be not the best strategy, but you're not killing your cap and you can still build a very good team. So that's what I would be inclined to do. Also, you have Taylor Heineke as, he would be a backup. And I feel like adding one of these free agent quarterbacks upcoming is basically the same as Taylor Heineke. Maybe a little bit better, but what's the point?
Yeah. If I was going to go for that bridge aspect, Dave, I think Jameis Winston is the only one that you can really point at and say, yeah, that's the guy that you could come here and elevate your squad to some point. I know the Saints offense, they were really dumbed down vertically. Sean Payton did not allow Jameis to throw the ball deep downfield unless it was against Washington. Of course, we all know about that game. But I think it is Jameis, and then going down the draft. What do you say, Hall?
Hey, I was always taught in order to make money, you got to spend money to make money. So what I mean by that is to get a guy like Russell Wilson, you're going to have to pony up probably some draft capital. It's going to be a cap hit. But at the end of the day, you look at teams like Kansas City, LA, the Rams, not the Chargers, the Rams, who else? All those top tier, the Buccaneers, like last year, the past 2 years. They would say cap space. What do you mean? We don't go by the rules of the cap because you're signing guys of $50 million contracts and whatnot like that. So, and you have superstars all over your team. So I would say that yes, it might mess up your cap. You're going to take cap hits. My rebuttal with that would be you got to hit on the draft picks. You got to be able to influx the young guys through the draft to be able and get them to be able to play to a high level, a la Cam Curl, a lot of guys like Cole Holcomb, guys that are later round picks that you have on cheap salaries that become your solid starters and maybe even your star players. And that way you can kind of manage the quarterback caps hits while also replenishing the cabinets throughout the draft every year. On top of that, you need a big play wide receiver. You can go through the draft, and star quarterbacks attract other star players, no matter what the situation is.
Yep.
So that would be my rebuttal to that is if you want to make money, you got to spend money.
Absolutely. Now, this title of this episode is the Senior Bowl recap, so we can't go through this episode without recapping the Senior Bowl, Mr. Ken Johannesen. So what was one surprising player you could say, but what was one player that stood out to you that impressed you the most from the Senior Bowl this weekend?
Well, I'm going to take the whole week and encapsulate it, not only in the game, but what happened in all the practices. One player that stood out to me was Troy Anderson of Montana State. Now, we know that we have a need at the Mike linebacker position, and he's a player that stands out for me. Another one is Brian Asamoah of Oklahoma, Chad Muma of Wyoming.
Yeah, I was going to say
yeah, I mean, that's the one that I think people are really focusing on, but I think a lot of other teams are as well. There's a couple of them. I think there's the linebacker from Cincinnati, Darian
Beavers.
Darian Beavers.
Bevers.
Yeah. Easy joke to make.
Yeah.
He's another one that I like. But Troy Anderson, Montana State, impresses me for several reasons. He started off at Montana State as a quarterback. and he was quite good. But he chose to then move to fullback for the Bobcats and did really well there. And then a year later, he goes to linebacker for his final 2 seasons and just played lights out. And I think he has a lot of versatility. Right now, a lot of people are ranking him as basically a 4th rounder. I think if he shows well at the combine, if he does well in team meetings, as well as their team pro day, I think this is someone that could go in the 3rd round. I think Washington, if they add him, he would do well on special teams. He would be also a player that you could put in as a gimmick on offense once in a while. And obviously, linebacker, he checks all the boxes. So I like him. On the offensive side, Malik Willis. I mean, it's easy to say that. Now, Carson Strong had a great week of practice. In the game, he did. Yeah, he had a good game. Now, Desmond Ritter, the first day, not the best, but he came on. He had a pretty good week, pretty good game. And I think he is someone that could rise at the combine as well as at team pro day, team meetings, and the like. So keep a look at him. These are the 3 quarterbacks I'm focusing on. Obviously, I'm not talking much about a guy in Pittsburgh that has a small hand, but obviously he's quarterback 1 for a lot of people. But right now, I think Malik Willis. And he might be my quarterback 1, but just narrowly for now.
I got you. And then, but let's jump back into our fan questions. And this one's going to be from Paul Murphy. What draft capital / players would you offer Seattle to trade for Russell Wilson? I want to put this caveat in there. Last season, Russell Wilson has a 64.8% completion percentage, threw for over 3,000 yards, 25 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. His career high in interceptions is 13. Career high in touchdowns is 40. When he did that was in 2020. So a year ago, those were both career highs, threw for 40 touchdowns last season. What would you offer Seattle for Russell Wilson, Ken?
Okay, are we assuming that this is going to be done?
Yeah, we're assuming that. Let's just say yes.
If the team is really inclined, I know that Ron Rivera said in his season-ending presser after the final game that they are going to really take a hard approach this year to quarterback, and I take him at his word. I think they're going to make it a priority this year, probably the top priority. Will they do it in free agency? My gut says no, but if they do, and if they do add Russell Wilson, I think you're looking at a minimum of 2 first-round picks this year, next year, and a second-rounder this year, maybe a third-rounder the following year, and then the year after that, a second-rounder. And I know a lot of people saying it will take 3 first-rounders, but the other thing I'm thinking about is a player that they may want, someone like Montez Sweat, maybe Deron Payne, one of these players. So I think that's what it will take.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I do think it's going to be 2 first-rounders, probably a player or 2, and maybe a second here or there. Being able for Washington to be able to still bring in those picks, because there's still a lot of depth issues on this team right now. I don't think there's any confusion about that. I think we all could sit here and say they're not in a position to push away picks like the 49ers were last season for a quarterback that they're not going to start. You know what I mean? Like, they're not in that position. What do you think, Hall?
Yeah, I think it would take the 11th pick overall this year. I would think it would take their first round pick in 2023's draft. I think it would take probably a second round pick in this year's draft, and maybe like a 5th in like 2023 or something like that. But I would just keep it at the 3 picks right there.
Yeah, but it's not asking you to predict the future. He's asking you what would you offer.
Oh, well, I would offer 2 firsts. Either a second or a third in this upcoming draft. So this year's pick, next year's first round pick, and either probably a second round pick in this year's draft, maybe a third round pick if you can try to make that slide by. And I would probably offer maybe a guy like Deron Payne, Montez Sweat is iffy because I definitely think that he's going to take another huge step next year.
Yep.
But again, I can't say that I wouldn't offer up Montez Sweat after I just said you got to spend money to make money. So
Yeah.
I would offer up Montez Sweat as well.
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense. Now, Ken, to wrap this up, last question I have for you is from our guy, Commander OC, Orange Crush 92, favorite account on Twitter. Love you, dude. He asks, how much would you say the safety position is an area of need this offseason? I know we have Curl and McCain back there, but do you think they could use more help back there, even through the draft or free agency? Do we need a free safety or strong safety more, Ken?
Well, free safety. I know the team wants to re-sign Bobby McCain.
Mm-hmm.
I believe they will. That doesn't mean that we won't draft a free safety, but assuming Bobby McCain it does re-sign, and I think he will, I could see us going for a free safety in the draft in the 6th or 7th round. A player I've been looking at is Joshua Williams out of Fayetteville State, small school, but he's dynamic. He really is. He could be what Cam Curl has been at strong safety,
Wow.
Buffalo safety, at free safety for Washington. He's pretty good. He's under the radar, but he's someone to keep a look at in the 6th or 7th rounds. Would they add another free safety in free agency if Bob McCain is re-signed? No, I don't see that. But if McCain goes elsewhere, then yeah, I think they'll have to find someone in free agency and a draft pick in the later rounds.
Yeah, and I would hope that they wouldn't be going through free agency for one of these safeties besides Bobby McCain. I mean, they did just draft Derek Forrest last season out of Cincinnati as a safety. He's more of a cover guy, and that would make more sense to be able to plug him in there. But if they're going and spending a high-value pick on that free safety spot, most likely they're telling you that they're gone. But, yeah, I agree with you, Ken, that free safety is more of the glaring need. I don't think it's – I think that corner and middle linebacker are much more important in this time than safety at this point, but I'm not going to say no to an upgrade at the position without a doubt. I just don't think that they're going to be spending big money for it. I would love to be able to have Jesse Bates there. I just don't think it's going to happen. You know what I mean? Ken, I can't thank you enough for joining us, sir. I know we've been trying really hard to be able to get you on here. You had some issues on Friday, lost power when you were supposed to come on and join us, but I can't thank you enough for coming on here and making it up to us, Ken. And then you, Ken, I just want to tell everyone, Ken wanted to personally call me and apologize for not being able to on the show Friday. You don't have to do that, Ken. You just got to come back on with us, brother. No need to apologize.
Yeah, I couldn't help the power going out. Obviously, we had a major ice storm here on Thursday, and we had about 250,000 people throughout the Memphis area lost power. Some for as much as 2 or 3 days. I didn't lose power, but on Friday, one neighborhood over lost power, and so it turns out the repairman hit another power line as they were repairing, and it knocked power out for us for about 2 hours, and that's what happened.
That's what happens, Ken. I can't thank you enough, sir. I know everyone can follow all your writing on Rigo's Rag, and you're one of my favorite Twitter followers, sir. You're kind-hearted, great dude. I can't thank you enough for coming on here and joining us again, Ken, and I would love to be able to get you back on before the draft if you're up for it.
Sounds good. I'll be around.
Of course. Thank you so much, Ken. You have a good night, sir. Stay safe.
All right.
Appreciate
Thank you.
man.
All right, Ken. All right, everybody. We just spoke with Ken Johannesen, dude. I love Ken so much. He's so much fun on Twitter.
Yeah, he is.
He sends me all the sneak peek DMs. I absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. Now, let's get on to our fan questions. Let's finish up with it. And this one is from Hog Farmer Keith. And so I just want to I thought Keith was playing around. Like, I didn't think that Keith was actually going to be, like, sending us in an actual question. But he sent us in a question. I'm not going to lie to you. His question was, this going to you, Hall. Other than quarterback, who's y'all's number one target in free agency?
I don't know, I don't have a specific player off the top of my head because I have to look at the free agency board position by position. But position wise, I would go my number one need free agency wise. I would go wide receiver. No, I'd go middle linebacker. I would like them to maybe fill that need in middle linebacker through free agency. Get a veteran guy in here that is going to teach these younger guys how to play the position of linebacker in the NFL. who's going to be like a leader in the linebacker room as well. And then, like I said, you can build through the offense with the younger guys through the draft. Like wide receiver would be definitely a position of need for me. So I would go middle linebacker through free agency, and yeah.
For me, dude, it's a free agency. It's Mike Williams, the wide receiver from the Chargers from LA. Everyone knows they're infamous. The Chargers do not bring back their own talent. They never pay them big money. They only bring back the quarterback. That's all they do. And on the flip side of that, Devontae Adams. It's all based on what they do with the quarterback, because if they're sending a bunch of those picks out to another team, they're not going to have that top half of that first round ability to go get one of those playmakers, right? So you're going to have to go to free agency in order to get another wide receiver in here that can be plug and play day one, help out your offense and this quarterback to be able to go down and score points. It's Mike Williams or Devontae Adams for me in free agency, dude. I would absolutely love either one of those guys. Now, let's move on to our next fan question. It's from the Colonel. Got to save the best for last, of course, you know? And this one is, if we strike out on the premier quarterback sweepstakes, we have to settle for Trubisky, Mariota, Garoppolo, or Winston. What are we going to do at 11?
I would hope that you're going to have to go playmaker, honestly, in my opinion. You're going to have to get some more pieces around this mediocrity of quarterback play that we're going to get from one of those mediocrity guys. So I'd definitely go Jameson Williams would be a great pick at 11. Add some wide receiver talent opposite of Terry.
Remember, you got to remember, he probably won't be playing his first year.
I know. I was going to say Garrett. I think he'll play, but it'll be like the second half of the season. But Garrett Wilson was definitely a great pick as well.
Chris Olave, Treylon Burks.
I was going to say Chris Olave, exactly, but that's 11's a little rich for my taste, depending on where the wide receivers go off the board. But, yeah, I would definitely go Garrett Wilson, wide receiver, and depending on the health outlook of Jameson Williams and when he'll be available to play and get on the field, I would go Jameson Williams as well. But definitely wide receiver, some type of playmaker to put more weapons around a mediocre quarterback.
Yeah, and the Colonel's next question is, what are we going to do at 11 if we go down the route of Winston, Trubisky, Mariota? I think we're going best player available. I don't think it's at wide receiver verbatim. You know what I mean? Like, if we're sticking at 11, I think we're in a prime spot there to be able to take the best player available, because you're going to have a guy like Devin Lloyd there available. You're going to have Nakobe Dean there as well. And then you're going to have, we can talk about the other wide receivers like you already brought up. I would love to go down that route. I love it. I think it's the best possible way for them to get better as a team. But I'm not sure if those guys, Garoppolo, Trubisky, and all them, are going to be able to elevate the squad. I mean, because Rio had sent in a question as well for this episode. Basically, what's the worst-case scenario for the quarterback position that we could getting out of this offseason? And I think it's with Jimmy Garoppolo, paying a bunch of money to Jimmy G to not elevate your team, to be kind of living in this box and to say, okay, this is what we're at. And that's where I'm at. I think that's the worst-case scenario. But I think at 11, I would much rather go best player available, and most likely they won't be going with line at that point because they re-signed Charles Leno. So I think the playmakers at those positions wouldn't be mad with the corner as well. A lot of talent of corners in that top half of the first round for me personally. Now, the Colonel's next question, Hall, I have to ask you. Have any developments over the weekend, i.e. the Senior Bowl coach hirings, or changed your outlook, not just on our future quarterback, but other positions?
For Washington or throughout the NFL?
Washington.
As far as coach hirings, I mean, not really. The only thing that would really change my position is this new Russell Wilson, new, I put it in quotations, news. But actually, you know what? I will say the Senior Bowl. And you're probably going to get decisive for this because you've been on this train for a while now. But I wasn't really that high on a guy like Desmond Ridder, but he did show me something in that game that made kind of open my eyes up to be like, you know what? Maybe he does have what it takes to be a
see the light, Hall. See the light.
Look, I was going based off of what I saw when he played Alabama, which was like the actual
you can't
true
do
competition.
That.
Yeah, but that's NFL style competition. You're going to be playing against every Sunday.
All right. Let me bounce this off of you though. How many drop passes did you see in that game fall off his receivers?
And that was gonna be my next point. I was gonna say he was putting the ball where it needed to be on some passes. Some plays he kind of looked frazzled because again, that's a fast team. You haven't played talent like that probably your whole career. But Desmond Ritter is a guy that kind of opened my eyes to be like, you know what? If they took him in the second round at pick, what is that, 43, 32, yeah, pick number 43, I wouldn't be mad at that. Or if they went Lamar Jackson style and somehow traded back up to that 30, 31, 32 range and drafted him at the back end of the first round, and then you can control him for 5 years, I wouldn't be really mad at that either. But again, it's still early. Let's see how he does at the combine, all the meetings and stuff like that. But one thing that opened up my eyes this weekend was the play of Desmond Ritter.
Yes, he was 4 of 6 for 68 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 carries on 12 yards, showed his elusiveness on the ground, and able to work inside the pocket, be able to work outside off play action, and throw on the run. He showcased a lot. Kenny Pickett was perfect, 6 of 6 for 89 yards and a touchdown. Carson Strong, probably one of the worst ones of the day, 6 of 11 for 67 yards and an interception. Bailey Zapp, 8 of 13, 103 yards and an interception. Sam Howell, 6 of 9 for 67 yards and 1 fumble, which I think was very telling of Sam Howell. And then Malik Willis, 2 of 4 for 11 yards, 4 carries for 54 yards. Stat line doesn't pop out, but he did get less reps than any of the other quarterbacks. But he showed exactly what I thought he was. He was electrifying. He showed you this playmaking ability, but I still think he's a year away. He's still a project. He doesn't operate in the pocket like he's supposed to. But look, he's a work in progress, man. That's what happens with these quarterbacks. I just dread that he's going to be drafted to be the guy number 1, and then things are going to start falling apart because he's not quite ready yet. But we have to go to our Discord chat server for our fan questions now. And this one's hilarious from Chris Comerton. How many wins can a commander command if a commander could command wins? That's spot on, brother. I mean, that's awesome.
A great question.
That is a great question. All right. So what is your Tony Shivers in the Discord chat server, Hall? Your pick for Super Bowl MVP of this weekend?
Ooh, well, I guess I'd probably go Matt Stafford only because it's usually a quarterback-driven type of an award, unless like Cooper Kupp goes off for like 200 plus yards, like 150 yards and 2 touchdowns, or Jamar Chase, someone like that. But I would probably go Matt Stafford just because Sean McVay is going to be trying to air the ball out all over the yard in his offense or on the Bengals defense, and he's going to try to justify, not really justify the trade, but he's going to try to show everyone, hey, this is why I traded for Matt Stafford to get to this point. But
I think he already proved that by being in the Super Bowl.
I know, but I'm just saying. But
I got you.
You can say that, but he got there with Jared Goff. So
that's a good point.
So.
Hey, Tony, my Super Bowl MVP pick is going to be Aaron Donald. Joe Burrow has been sacked a bunch in these playoffs. I expect that to continue this week, and I think Aaron Donald is going to feast. I think he's going to have 3 sacks, possibly a forced fumble, maybe even a fumble recovery or something like that. So Aaron Donald as a Super Bowl MVP of this weekend. Now, Jeff Miles in the Discord chat server. Who's a realistic wide receiver 2 that we could get in free agency, Hall?
I mean, you named one of them. Mike Williams is going to be on the market. He's going to be pricey, especially coming off the year that he just had.
Right.
I would probably say his best year of his career so far.
And a lot of people will say that, like, you're going to have to re-sign Terry. You've already signed Curtis Samuel to a big money contract, and so it's going to be hard. But one thing I'll say is contractually, you talked about it earlier, Hall, you could kind of differentiate those big tag money numbers into different years. And the Washington Commanders have an out with Curtis Samuel after next season. So that's always something to put in the back of your head.
Exactly. So, yeah, my number 1 target would be Mike Williams. My number 2 target would have been Michael Gallup, but obviously coming off that injury, and I think it was the end of the season, right before the playoffs started. Who knows what his status is going to be going into the beginning of training camp and whatnot, maybe even like the first week of the season. But, yeah, Mike Williams would definitely be my number 1 target.
Yeah, and then the next question is from Digital Guru in the chat, and this is a great one. This has been one of my most head-scratching moments from this old name change, but he says, Kyle, ask the panel if they think anyone can convince Dan to modify those Super Bowl dates on that logo with 1932 on it. It is embarrassing to see that. And it's in reference to the Super Bowl years being 92, 88, and 83 on the actual jerseys. Obviously, everyone knows it's 82, 87, and 91. And so he wants to ask, like, can you convince Dan to change it?
I wish I had that kind of pull. I don't know. See, the problem is Dan Snyder doesn't take me as a person that likes to admit mistakes or admit that he was wrong or show that he was wrong. So hopefully they'll be able to. Hopefully Jason is someone that will be in his ear, and some of these alumni that he adores and loves so much will be in his ear to be like, hey, the guys like Doc Walker, would be like, and Brian Mitchell would be like, hey, can you please fix this? Blah 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 blah. But again, you would think that someone probably said that before they printed all that stuff. So who knows?
Yeah, look, I talked about this in the chat. I said I would elaborate further. But one of my conspiracy theories, we're in Kyle's conspiracy corner now, guys. So get ready, get your tinfoil hats on. Let's get this pumping, baby. But
Open up them third eyes.
One of my theories on this is that they are giving credence, they are showing and celebrating the Super Bowl year, the year they won the Super Bowl. I think this is a shot at the Super Bowl teams. And for one, I've heard that like the 91 team wasn't really remembered, wasn't celebrated by the organization, and this might have been one of those indicators by saying we're not going to celebrate the team, but we're going to celebrate the Super Bowls. And so that's why they put the dates as when they won the Super Bowl, not the season, but the year they won that Super Bowl. Kind of a nod and a kick at the former teams, which, if that's the case, that's crazy, but that would make a lot of sense unless there is some sort of new NFL thing going on where they're saying the Super Bowl year is the actual year that they won it and not the season that led up to it, if that makes any sense. I know it probably doesn't.
No, that's only a thing that they do here in Washington. I don't see that anywhere in this NFL.
I know, man. But nobody else is really doing that on their jerseys.
I know, but look, everyone's freaking out. I understand the reasoning why they put, like you just said, you explained it perfectly. They put the year that they actually did win the actual Super Bowl trophy. Like the Super Bowl trophy says January, whatever the date was, 1992 is when they won the last one. So I get like, okay, why I did that, but like you said, the season started in 91 and 87 and all the other stuff. So it would be like, or 83. So it's like, why not just put those numbers on there? But I mean, hey, I'm not in the marketing division. I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah. Look, I'm not sure exactly what that was about. I'm still scratching my head about it. I'm just trying to understand. But this is why we're in Kyle's conspiracy corner, dude.
I'm just riding the wave. Who knows?
Yeah, just ride the wave. Absolutely. But real quick, dude, what was your thoughts on the Senior Bowl? What did you think of the quarterbacks?
Yeah, Malik Willis. I'm not gonna say he showed me anything that I didn't know was that he could do, because I knew he was electrifying. I knew he was a great runner. Like you said, he didn't really get to show off his passing abilities as much. But if you were one of those people that watched the practices during the week, because they had him like live and stuff like that, watch some of the highlight throws that he made during the week of practice, that kind of opened up your eyes a little bit to be like, okay, like I definitely see the arm strength. I see what everyone's talking about as far as like he could be that Josh Allen type of quarterback that just year by year kind of gets better and better and better until he reaches that apex that Josh Allen has hit this past 2 years. Like I just told you before, Desmond Ridder is a guy that I was looking at him maybe as like a project, maybe like a third round project, something like that. His play definitely opened my eyes up. He can definitely be a high end second round pick and possibly compete for the starting position in year one, depending on what team he goes to. And I would say Kenny Pickett surprised me a lot, because a lot of people have him as just the number one quarterback off breaks, but a lot of people said that his week of practice was kind of up and down. And then you look at the game, he was 6 for 6 through a touchdown. So that was kind of my just evaluation of it, which is all these quarterbacks are meh.
Yep,
honestly.
and obviously Kenny Pickett's hand size in practices, he had fumbled twice, and it was something that was well noted. But I know everyone loves to talk about what happened in those practices, how Malik Willis looked and everything. He blew the doors off. And I get it, Malik Willis, that he should be doing that. But I don't put any credence into what happened at practice. I'm looking at the game. That's when the nerves are on. That's when everyone's looking at you. It's 11 on 11. Who can orchestrate the offense? Who can get downfield and score points? It doesn't matter who looks the best while they do it. It doesn't matter if they don't score points. You got to score points. Desmond Ridder didn't surprise me at all. That's exactly what he does. He's a manager of the game. gets the offense downfield. He's a 4-year starter. Obviously, he has his his weaknesses, but all these quarterbacks do. But can you come in, orchestrate the offense, get everyone in line, and move the football downfield? Malik Willis didn't surprise you at all either. That's exactly what I saw on film. That's an electrifying athlete that is still learning the quarterback position. He abandoned the pocket on that one deep throw that Tan Todd Podcast put out earlier on Twitter. They had quote tweeted on it. And he came off his back foot, chucked it, and ended up being a pass interference penalty, but shows the kind of electrifying, strong arm of Malik Willis. But he still has a way to go. I still think he's a year off of where he is. Carson Strong was horrendous. I thought he was one of the better deep field accuracy quarterbacks in this draft. That pick was horrible. I mean, it almost looked like it was tipped, how bad it was a duck. It was like a Donovan McNabb pass, trying to throw a fade there, and it would just look putrid. Carson Strong didn't do all that well. Bailey Zapp, I thought, was very impressive. He did exactly what he shows you on film. He's able to hit his checkdowns, has a good idea and feel for the rhythm of the game and to get the ball to his guys. And so I thought Bailey Zapp looked good in that aspect. And then Sam Howell he was abandoning the pocket, running for his life, just like he was at North Carolina. We can sit here and talk about how bad his O-line is, and that's the reason why he was running for his life at North Carolina. That wasn't the same case at the Senior Bowl. They had the same guys, the other guys, and he was still running for his life, running a bunch, and fumbled on a sack. So I don't know what this love affair with Sam Howell that everyone has. I understand his connection with Diami Brown, but it doesn't really do much for me. Desmond Ridder is still my guy. I'm not going to say he's my quarterback one. I'm still holding out who's my quarterback one, but Desmond Ridder I thought was the best of the Senior Bowl weekend. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode. Thank you to Rick Doc Walker again for coming on and bringing that fire, as always. And then Mr. Ken Johannesen, coming on here and being able to give us some intellect and some education onto this mock draft that he did. It was awesome from Rigo's Rag. Make sure you guys go and check that out. We'll be back on Friday, everybody. I'm Kyle.
Shout out to the Wi-Fi guys. It's the first time ever I didn't freeze up during the episode. Woo! I'm Hall.
You kind of did, but it's okay. I didn't say anything to you. It's all right. It's fine. All right, everybody. We'll see you on Friday. Stay safe. Make sure you hit up the comment section. What did you think of Senior Bowl weekend? What did you think? What do you think Washington would have to give up for Russell Wilson? Talk about it in the comments, you guys. I would love to hear about it, hear your thoughts, because a lot of people comment on the name change on the YouTube channel from last week. You guys love talking about that. Let's start talking about some quarterbacks, everybody. All right, we'll see you on Friday. Washington football. Woo! Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Kyle. I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching, and if you liked what you saw, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. That way you get notified when anything new is uploaded to the channel. Also, we just launched theburgundyzone.com. You can go there and find all of our latest news, articles, and the latest episodes that are uploaded. Again, we also have the Discord chat server, where all of our VIP folks are in, like Andy Burrows, Scott Hartley, Sergio Martin is in there as well. Don't miss out on the Discord chat server. Go and check that out. Until next time, everybody, Washington football. Woo!